Hi, my name is Larry Huber, and I'm the creator of ChalkZone, along with my partner, Bill Burnett.
I made the ChalkZone show.
If you're familiar with ChalkZone, you know all about Rudy and his best friend Penny. But you must also know about Snap, the chalk creation that Rudy created.
Soon you will learn 107 things you will want to know.
If you're not a fan and you've never heard of this before, stay tuned, because they're going to explain it all to you.
ChalkZone.
As part of Frederator's Oh Yeah Cartoons family, ChalkZone went on to become a fun Nickelodeon show that left everyone saying, "Rudy, you gotta draw something!" Hey guys, this is Jacob with Channel Frederator. You already know that Rudy Tabooty's got the chalk, but what about the show's juicy details beyond that one fact? Well, we've got the inside scoop on all the iconic music videos, unused episode ideas, and character inspirations. So get in the zone, because these are 107 facts about ChalkZone. Let's get drawing. ChalkZone was a cartoon on Nickelodeon that was created by Larry Huber and Bill Burnett. You can chalk the production of this show up to a little old place called Frederator Studios. The show ran for 40 episodes across 4 seasons from 2002 to 2008. Each season varied in its amount of episodes, going from 6 episodes to 8 to 15 to 11. Before ChalkZone became a full series, it had 8 shorts on our very own Fred Seibert's animated cartoon showcase, Oh Yeah Cartoons. This showcase also helped spin off a few other series, like My Life as a Teenage Robot and The Fairly Odd Parents. ChalkZone is even more closely tied to Frederator beyond just the production. Co-creator Larry Huber was one of the first Frederator employees, with Fred bringing him over from Hanna-Barbera to take the role of co-executive producer. To give you some perspective on Larry, he's worked as a producer on shows from Dexter's Laboratory to Alvin and the Chipmunks. He's even worked on our very own Bravest Warriors. To get the ball rolling, Larry needed a friendly nudge from Fred. Fred told him that he would hire Larry on one condition: he had to develop a short for Oh Yeah Cartoons. But Larry was worried that he wasn't as talented as the youngins. Oh, Larry, age is just a state of mind. Soon-to-be co-creator Bill Burnett was also recruited by Fred. Bill had been an animation and advertising writer at Fred and Allen until Fred told him about the Frederator initiative. The two met when Bill strolled right into Larry's office and said, "Larry, we should make a show together." And just like that, a classic was born. Despite his deep involvement in animation, Bill is far from an artist. According to him, he can make the decisions on how things should look, but he can't bring them all the way there, whereas Larry was the artist of the duo. Bill and Larry worked together to craft the premise for ChalkZone. Larry had the initial idea about a kid with a magical piece of chalk, and Bill took it to the next logical step, creating an alternate reality on the other side of the chalkboard where everything is made of chalk. ChalkZone was pitched to Nickelodeon with 7 minutes on the clock. Although Fred wanted more slapstick humor, 2 characters who are polar opposites solving a problem with lots of gags in between, Larry fought for the story. According to Larry, he and Bill didn't always see eye to eye. However, their stark differences in social and political opinions helped the show reflect on many different perspectives for its ideas. These resulted in episodes that didn't quite make the cut due to their adult edge. For example, an idea that was scrapped was based on the concept of unfinished chalk drawings being trapped in secluded places by an evil dictator. Rudy, of course, would lead the rebellion to rescue them. So why chalk? According to Bill, the unique variety of places one can find a chalkboard, from the specials board outside a restaurant to a hopscotch course at a local school, made it the perfect vessel for storytelling. Plus, who doesn't love playing with chalk? Oh, and Bill and Larry were around the age of 50 when they made ChalkZone. Never stop creating. Speaking of youngsters, one of the earliest hires on Oh Yeah Cartoons was a CalArts student named Carlos Ramos. Fred was blown away by his work, so Larry quickly snatched him up and began forming the ChalkZone production team. Then Nickelodeon head Albie Hecht was a huge proponent of ChalkZone from the very beginning. As a producer who was very into high concept ideas, he was sold on the show from the title alone. The first ever TV debut of ChalkZone was on July 17th, 1998 during Oh Yeah Cartoons as a short. Yes, I said 1998, even though the show ran from 2002 to 2008. Stick with us, friends. ChalkZone had a long and interesting release schedule. The official ChalkZone series pilot first aired on December 31st, 1999. So wait, could we consider ChalkZone one of those 90s Nicktoons that people on the internet are always raving about? 90s kids, what do you think? Only real 90s kids, though. Despite the pilot of the show airing in 1999, ChalkZone was not picked up as a full series until 2002. This had a lot to do with the unfortunate events of 9/11, where big studios were on lockdown and there was an overwhelming fear of another terror terrorist attack. When the anxiety died away, the series finally premiered, becoming the most watched premiere in Nickelodeon's history at the time. ChalkZone's 4th season only aired its first 5 episodes and then suddenly stopped. 3 years later, in 2008, the remaining 6 episodes of the season finally aired. ChalkZone never got a proper series finale. Bill stated that a good finale may have involved Snap realizing that as Rudy grows up, he'd go to ChalkZone less and less and then eventually not at all. Maybe it's better that didn't happen. That would just break our hearts. Bill had big plans for a multi-episode arc or perhaps a movie that unfortunately never got to come to fruition due to the show's cancellation. The story would have involved Skrull revealing that he had been serving an all-new, far more evil character, but that's not all they had planned. Skrull's signature theme song would have of course made a reappearance. The giant ugly potato monster would have taken Snap and Rudy prisoner at the base of a chalkano, yes you heard me, like a chalk volcano, a chalkano, and sing an all-new verse to them. After Rudy and Snap escaped via polar parachute, cold enough to withstand the chalkano heat obviously, they would have set out on a big journey to find the man behind Skrull's curtain, another creator who's been causing all of this trouble. What attracted kids to ChalkZone? Burnett believes that it's the show's empowering premise. When you take a work of art, you're giving it life. It's a great lesson that any artist can relate to. Larry actually has a lot of emotion when it comes to ChalkZone. He describes the characters as living creatures, just like how Rudy's drawings of Snap are real to him. The credit goes to his and Bill's resistance to growing up. ChalkZone draws inspiration from many artistic worlds: Alice in Wonderland, The Wizard of Oz, The Phantom Tollbooth, and Harry Potter. In fact, Burnett compares Rudy to Harry in the context that they're ordinary kids who discover they have extraordinary gifts. You're a creator, Rudy. Burnett has also gone as far to say that Nick should bring back ChalkZone and stress the Harry Potter relationship, seeing as Rudy himself has a magical piece of chalk, an intelligent lady, and a streetwise wise guy as teammates. Hitting 2 birds with 1 stone, I see. There was speculation as to whether the show was based on Simon in the Land of Chalk drawings, a British children's animated series about the adventures of a young child named Simon who had a magic chalkboard. Burnett debunked the rumor, as he wasn't even aware of the series until ChalkZone had entered production. In the original Oh Yeah cartoon shorts, Rudy was just 8 years old. The Nickelodeon execs, however, decided to age him up to 10, so he got a slight redesign. Some of the original Oh Yeah cartoon shorts were repurposed for the series. ChalkZone and The Amazing River, 2 episodes where Rudy was 8 instead of 10, became flashbacks in Rudy's First Adventure and French Fry Falls. Snap was created based on the boys of old 40s and 50s cartoons. They wanted a classic look that practically anybody could draw. Even Bill. Sorry, Bill. If it makes you feel any better, I can't draw either. The show needed and deserved a female component, so the creators added the minority character Penny Sanchez to play the intelligent mind of the trio. She's the all-American girl whose parents are of Hispanic origin. Her character was actually nominated for 2 Imagen Awards for Best Supporting Character in Children's Programming for her representation. ChalkZone has a pretty unconventional episode structure. While you may be used to cartoons with 1 long segment or 2 half segments, ChalkZone had 2 or more segments per episode and almost always ended with a music video. Unlike some other shows, ChalkZone had its continuity and stuck with it. In The Heist, for instance, Rudy's town changes its name from Plainsville to Plainville, and that change actually sticks. Is it a big change? Definitely not, but we take what we can get in cartoon continuity. Another example of continuity is the Chicken Leg, who was crowned King of the Lollipops in the episode Snap on Tour and remains king for Lollipopian Rhapsody. So how long is this Chicken Leg going to be in power for? Are there term limits in lollipop politics? According to the episode Skrull's Brain, Rudy is ambidextrous, a very useful talent for someone who needs to draw to get himself out of danger. However, that doesn't explain why he has such an issue drawing with his non-dominant hand in Disarmed Rudy. Well, okay, so maybe the continuity isn't totally perfect. The title cards were designed by Guy Vasilovich, who helped produce several shorts for both Oh Yeah and Random Cartoons. His artsy style is quite reminiscent to his days as a layout artist for The Black Cauldron and The Fox and the Hound. Cartoonist Bill Plimpton is an old friend of Fred Seibert's and became the first guest cartoonist in the show. According to Fred, it makes sense that Plimpton's works would appear in ChalkZone. As a cartoonist, he's definitely drawn something on a board and erased it before. Bill and Candy Milo, the voice of Snap, developed the idea for Snap's accent together. The 1930s mid-Atlantic Barbara Stanwyck sort of voice was meant to be just as snappy as the character's name implies, and Candy nailed it right away. Coincidentally, both E.G. Daly, the voice of Rudy, and Candy Milo are actually singers in real life, though the creators had no idea until they actually hired them. However, Hynden Walsh, the voice of Penny, wasn't too much of a singer, so Penny's singing voice was played by Robin Kermsey. Robin also sang You Will Remember from Danny Phantom. Larry's dad was a butcher, which served as the inspiration for Rudy's dad. In fact, Larry actually knows how to butcher animals himself. That bit of personal history never made it onto the show, however, and we understand why. Even Bill Burnett got a chance to guest star. While he ordinarily provided vocals on all of the show's songs, he also voiced some stray characters like the praying mantis in the big blow-up. Work on a show long enough and you may just end up providing a voice. That was the case with John Fountain, a storyboard artist for ChalkZone who ended up voicing Howdy Rudy. The voice of Skrull, that wailing voice, was done by Jim Cummings. Jim can be heard all over the place, but you've probably heard his Skrull-esque qualities in Ed from The Lion King, Fuzzy Lumpkins from the Powerpuff Girls, and Taz from the Looney Tunes show. Skrull's complexity can be seen in Let's Go Wandering. Bill explained that him crying over Rudy leaving is because deep down, he knows that Rudy is still his creator and he needs him for a purpose. Bill compared it to the end of the A.A. Milne Winnie the Pooh series with Christopher Robin leaving Winnie the Pooh. However, Skrull has motives similar to the androids from Blade Runner, as described by Bill Burnett. He's also mad at Rudy despite being his creator. But in reality, Skrull was conceived by character designer Alex Kerwin. Everyone remembers Skrull's theme song, right? Bill specifically wrote that New Orleans style, Dr. John style, knowing that it would lend itself to villainous expositional singing. It also helps that it's a style he writes in quite a lot. According to Bill Burnett, Skrull's theme song is the glue that holds his character together, hence them doing different renditions of the same theme song every time he'd appear. His theme song was one of the trickier ones to write for the show. Not only did it have a complex rhyming scheme, but it also had to tell the story of how Rudy created him. You try singing a song about how you met someone, it's not as easy as it sounds. ChalkZone fans know that music is a huge part of the show, of which the lyrics are thanks to Bill. According to Larry Huber, Bill's experience in advertising has made him the Grand Meister of jingles, which allowed him to imbue the show with its continuous stream of catchy ending tunes. Every genre was explored and utilized when making music. In fact, there are well over 100 songs written for ChalkZone. A lot of the songs that were more political in their message, though, were cut to avoid controversy. Frequent Frederator collaborator Guy Moon composed the music for ChalkZone. In fact, the show actually shares a few tracks with the Fairly OddParents, so keep your ears open and you may be able to hear the crossovers. According to Bill, music is a great way to pace up an animated story during a lull, so he got accustomed to adding the songs into his work, and so did we. Bill had two different ways he would go about coming up with songs for the show. In some cases, it would be a totally random idea that he just decided to roll with, which is what happened in the Fireplug Ballet. The other method was expositional, in other words, songs that would reveal the plot, like a moment where the characters sing about how they feel or what they want. Bill cited I'm Out of Time as a prime example. It's the song that served to explain Old Father Time's backstory. The goal of the ChalkZone music videos was to always cover some different and popular style of music, hence the huge range of styles. The only song to stray away from this mission statement was the song It Is to Laugh. The episode Asleep at the Chalk even has a parody of one of ChalkZone's own songs. It's All Night Jam, a play off the previous music video, All Day Jam. While Bill loves all of his catchy songs, he listed some of his favorites as There You Are, Chunky, Golden Thumb, Let's Go Wandering, Lollipopian Rhapsody, and Escucha Mi Corazón. The song Dream a Lot of Dreams was inspired by the Sweet Chariot Music Festival. Every year it would wrap up with a campfire song, and Burnett wrote this one to capture the bittersweet vibes of the closing tunes. The Chunky song was inspired by the hit band The Rolling Stones. While the song wasn't absurdly immature like its predecessor, it offered its own form of debauchery celebrating the overindulgence of peanut butter. As for episodes, Bill's favorites are The Wiggies, Portable Portal, Pumpkin Love, and The Big Blow Up. He really likes the fact that Rudy is basically carrying around a tablet before their time in Portable Portal. Can you imagine the main theme song of the show without that slammin' guitar lick? Well, turns out you don't have to, because the original version of the song featured on 2001's The Newest Nicktoons album used a synthesizer instead. The theme song was actually what got ChalkZone officially on the air, and it served a dual purpose. Nickelodeon didn't want to name the show ChalkZone because most often the main character was included in the title. However, Bill and Larry felt that ChalkZone was a character of its own, a living, breathing element. Adding the theme song with Who's Got the Chalk, Rudy's Got the Chalk satisfied everyone's concerns. Also, the techno provided ChalkZone with a modern appeal. The zany, classic cartoon style from the There You Are music video is a throwback to the old Fleischer cartoons like Betty Boop and Popeye the Sailor. The Baja Men, known for the famous song Who Let the Dogs Out, guest starred in an episode of ChalkZone. They performed the song The Coconut in the episode The Smooch, which was the antidote for the Smooch Bird's spell. Sorry Rudy Penny shippers, the Smooch is inexplicably missing from the complete DVD box set. Either Nick doesn't want any smooching around here, or maybe there were some copyright issues with the Baja Men, but for whatever reason, it's not on the DVD. Although we've lucked out on the Smooch, shippers have a lot to go off when it comes to Penny and Rudy. In Rudy's story, it's revealed that Rudy does indeed have a crush on Penny. Also, in Rudy's date, when Penny begins to talk mathematics, Rudy wistfully states, I love it when she talks like that. Bill and Larry revealed that in college, Rudy and Penny would definitely be a thing. Rudy would be a fine arts major, and Penny would of course be the scientist. Also, Penny would have control over the relationship. You're welcome for that bit of closure. A lot of the episodes of season 1 were actually jumbled up. This was due to Nick scrambling to air ChalkZone's Christmas special around the holidays. No worries though, these episodes episodes are put back in their original order in the DVD sets. The music video Comin' to Life actually has sped up audio, both in the Nicktoons reruns and the DVD release. Evidently, the original version hasn't been played since 2002. Going back to the Christmas special, this episode contains a song where the characters mash the names of all the holidays into one big name. Merry Chris Hanukkah Miss and a Happy Ramakwanza Don. Try saying that 3 times after a jug of eggnog. Do you remember Snap-isodes? Those were the short, snap-centric, well, episodes that show off the life of ChalkZone when Rudy's not there. Each was about 4 minutes long. One of these Snap-isodes was the RV Having Fun musical sequence. It's about an RV who just won't stop singing. And this was thought up by production coordinator Adria Walden. Burnett loved it so much that he provided the non-stop stream of show tunes. ChalkZone is actually a monarchy. Yeah, you wouldn't think that a chalk-based alternate world has a steady government, but the episode The Big Blow-Up reveals that they did have a king, Mumbo Jumbo, who disappeared 300 years prior. When you're visiting ChalkZone, maybe skip the local cuisine. All of the food in ChalkZone tastes expectedly like chalk. It hasn't stopped Rudy from trying to eat some anyway, though. Besides, everyone knows someone who eats chalk, right? Careful not to hang out in ChalkZone for too long, though. If you spend more than a day straight there, you too will turn into chalk. The rain in ChalkZone isn't water, of course. It's not even water drawn with chalk. In fact, it's the sidewalk drawings from the real world that are washed away by the real world rain. Rudy uses white lightning magic chalk, but at the magic chalk mines there's all different colors and patterns of chalk. Everything from chartreuse to polka dotted. When Reggie used red chalk, it was evil, so I wonder what each of those other chalks do. Larry explained that if there was anything he could change about the show, it would be the chalk service. Evidently, you could go into the ChalkZone from Philadelphia and come out in France, which opens up the possibility of amazing global adventures. Unfortunately, the show was stuck in Plainsville, which left a whole world that wasn't explored. Another aspect that he would change would be the softness of the show. Larry and Bill were always trying to edge it up and move in the direction of a bigger story arc. They even mentioned Rudy having to face an evil villain, Game of Thrones style. After all, Rudy is the stand-in for King Arthur, and his chalk is his Excalibur. He was chosen to save ChalkZone from all the possible evil that should enter. Keep an eye on the charts in I Need a Song. It's completely comprised of other ChalkZone songs. What ChalkZone song is number 1 on your charts? Let us know in the comments. Craniac makes a cameo in the scroll. When Penny is looking at the bus stop exhibit, take a look at the picture behind her. Before appearing as Dr. Von Doctor in Power Play, the Doctor could be seen in the Wiggies as Dr. Lawrence von Fustenberg. The science gene actually runs in Penny's family's veins. Her mom is a veterinarian and runs a backyard clinic. Maybe Penny will follow in her footsteps and become the first chalk doctor. All of the ChalkZoners in ChalkZone have that stylized chalk outline. The show's animators achieved that by drawing the outline and then using a gummy eraser to rub away at it, giving it that distressed, rocky look. Although ChalkZone was known for its distinctive childlike style, it was locked in a very two-dimensional creative bin. If there ever was a reboot, Larry would have the backgrounds be more three-dimensional like the redesign of the characters and allow for more artistic styles in the ChalkZone. Some episodes which touch on different artistic settings are Vincent Van Nogo and Cleo's Secret. Huber, who was fascinated by children's drawings, pushed the designs of ChalkZone to look like children's art through textured solid colors and an untrained appearance. This provided the show with its unique art style and aesthetic in and out of the blackboard. Initially, the sound would also be just as juvenile, more along the lines of Pee-wee's Playhouse. There were 2 chalk festivals in Los Angeles to promote the show. Many different artists came and colored in sketches of promotional pieces, resulting in unique works of art blanketing the ground. Nickelodeon, however, did not endorse the event, and it might have had something to do with the fact it was being promoted by a popular brand of tequila. Snap's run cycle was only 2 drawings instead of the customary 8. This was done to make the character and the backgrounds more two-dimensional. Many of the ChalkZone episode titles are reminiscent of popular books or movies. For instance, there's The Day the ChalkZone Stood Still, Journey to the Center of the Yeti, Day of the Living Mall, The Quicksand Man, Need I Go On? In The Quicksand Man, the knowledge that scraping a chalkboard in the real world sounds louder and worse in ChalkZone is used against the main villain, so please be thoughtful the next time you want to make the whole world cringe, but why would you even be doing that in the first place, you monster? Evidently, Rudy is short for Rudolph, as revealed by an old Nick.com e-card. I know it's not a very common name, but come on, it's not that embarrassing. ChalkZone may be a show geared towards kids, but it has its innuendos. In the episode Skrull's Brain, there's a scene where Rudy yells, "This is your brainwave on chalk, Skrull." Mind you, he's holding some frying pans when he says this line. This scene is reminiscent of the 80s and 90s anti-drug PSAs, "Your brain on drugs." Any questions? questions. There's also an episode of ChalkZone that may seem familiar to anyone who's had a rough Friday night. In Asleep at the Chalk, Rudy goes partying with Snap late into the night to the point of sleep deprivation. The result? He has trouble functioning and he stumbles around the city, almost hurting himself in the process on multiple accounts. Eventually, Snap, who helps him sober up to get home safe, comes out as a true friend. There's a variation of Skrull's song in the episode Chalk Queen when Skrull realizes that Penny is just as good an artist as Rudy and tries to convince her to rule the ChalkZone. Maybe if the series ran longer, we would have seen that conflict develop more. ChalkZone was from that era of cartoons where catchphrases were a must. So of course, the show got on board. The king of the catchphrase? Snap. With both Oi Kaloi and the iconic Rudy, you gotta draw something! One of the biggest lessons the creators wanted to push throughout the series was responsibility. Rudy has to think before he draws on the blackboard because whatever imaginary being comes to mind returns to haunt him in the ChalkZone. As Burnett once said, there's an awful lot of gratuitous violence and mean-spirited dark stuff going on in our culture that isn't improving or benefiting society. While the message is very mature for the show, many of the episodes were created to have those intellectual overtones. The show also teaches children how to solve problems creatively, not destructively. It draws importance on brain power as opposed to violence. In the episode Poison Pen Letter, Michelle is so cool that she invited the show's co-creator to come to her party, as spotted in her mailbox. And Rudy wasn't invited? ChalkZone had 2 online games, Chalk Chase and Double Trouble. They're still active, so if you want to recapture your youth with a good old HTML game, it's there for you. A high for ChalkZone from back in the day was a toy deal at Wendy's. Back then, fast food toy deals were the peak of cool. There was even a Snap action figure. ChalkZone was met with much critical acclaim. The New York Post called ChalkZone the latest kid smash and said it was on its way to becoming the new Rugrats. Many critics praised the show for its unforced humor, educational tidbits, and the fact that the hero used his brain and not his brawn. The original ChalkZone short from Oh Yeah Cartoons was nominated for a few Annie Awards. In fact, it won for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Production Design in an Animated Television Production, which went to Carlos Ramos. After ChalkZone, several of the artists branched out to create their own animated series. Carlos went off to direct The X's, a cartoon following a family of well-trained secret agents. Jorge Gutierrez, a character designer for ChalkZone, created El Tigre, The Adventures of Manny Rivera, and the Real FX Creative Studios feature film, The Book of Life. While Nicktoons is working on reviving many classics like Hey Arnold, Rocko's Modern Life, and Invader Zim, many fans are hoping that ChalkZone gets its own fantastic reboot. Larry and Bill hope so as well. But in the meantime, both are doing their own creative projects, helping storytellers from different backgrounds dream up their own ideas. Once again, I'm Jacob, and thanks for watching 107 Facts About ChalkZone. Which episode or song from the series is your favorite? Comment below and let us know. And don't forget to click that bell icon to become part of the notification squad. We have new videos dropping every week, so make sure you subscribe to Channel Frederator, your Cartoon Central on the internet.